Imagine a picturesque suburban neighborhood, not unlike any other, where an unthinkable tragedy unfolds. In the heart of Westfield, New Jersey, the year is 1971. The town is quiet, peacefully oblivious to the horror that is about to shatter its tranquility. Meet John List, an unassuming figure by all accounts, a devoutly religious man, a diligent accountant, a former army officer, but beneath the veneer of normalcy, a darkness lurks. On the 9th of November, the unthinkable happens. List, in a chilling display of calculated brutality, executes his family. His wife, his mother, his 3 innocent children. No one is spared. The man who they called husband, son, and father turns into their executioner. Each victim is shot in the head, their lifeless bodies meticulously arranged in the grand ballroom of the family mansion, a grotesque tableau of a family destroyed. Every detail of this heinous act is planned with chilling precision. List cuts himself out of family photographs, leaving behind a house that seems abruptly abandoned. He turns on a religious radio station, the air filled with hymns and prayers, a stark contrast to the silence of the lifeless bodies in the next room. A note is left behind, hinting at financial troubles, a fabricated reason for the family's sudden disappearance. But John List does not disappear. He merges back into the fabric of society, assuming a new identity, living a life under the radar. For 18 years, he manages to evade the long arm of the law, his heinous act a secret hidden in the quiet town of Westfield. In the quiet confines of his home, List turned into a methodical executioner, leaving no survivors. This is the story of John List, a tale of tragedy and horror that unfolded in an ordinary neighborhood, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can reside in the human heart. John List didn't merely commit these horrific acts, he meticulously planned them. His methodical nature, honed by years as an accountant and an army officer, played a chilling role in the orchestration of this tragedy. List ensured that every detail was accounted for, every loose end tied up. He didn't just want to erase his family, he wanted to erase their existence. The forensic experts who later examined the crime scene were struck by the cold, calculated nature of List's actions. Each victim was shot in the head, and their bodies carefully arranged in the ballroom of the family mansion, a haunting tableau that spoke to the depth of List's derangement. But List's methodical planning didn't stop at the murders. He went on to stage a disturbingly thorough cover-up. He cut himself out of family photos, as if trying to erase himself from the narrative of his family's life. He turned on a religious radio station, perhaps as a macabre soundtrack to his actions. He even left a note implying financial troubles, as if to suggest a motive for his family's sudden disappearance. As the experts delved deeper, they found that List had left a trail of breadcrumbs that led nowhere. He had planned everything to make it seem as though his family had simply left town. It was a masterful act of deception that kept the authorities at bay for years. But as the echoes of the gunshots faded, List vanished, leaving behind an empty house filled with haunting secrets. The once vibrant home was now a chilling monument to a family that was no more, a constant reminder of the unthinkable tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. The echoes of their laughter, their love, their lives were all but silenced by List's terrifying act. And yet, as we would come to find, this was only the beginning of the chilling tale of John List. For nearly 2 decades, John List managed to become a ghost, living under an assumed identity. This seemingly unassuming man had committed an unthinkable crime and then vanished into thin air. He had meticulously planned not just the murders but his own disappearance, leaving few traces behind for the investigators to follow. From Westfield, New Jersey, List moved across the country, blending in with the crowd. He assumed a new identity and life as Robert Clark. He was a shadow, an enigma, a man who had managed to completely erase his past and start anew. But even the most carefully laid plans can come undone. 18 years after the murders, a television show would play an instrumental role in cracking this cold case. The groundbreaking episode of America's Most Wanted aired in 1989, featuring the chilling story of the List family murders. The show's producers had commissioned a forensic sculptor to create an age-progressed bust of List, predicting how he might look nearly 2 decades after his disappearance. In a twist of fate, a viewer recognized the man in the bust as her neighbor, Robert Clark. The authorities were alerted, and their investigation led them to Richmond, Virginia. The man living a quiet life under the alias of Robert Clark was indeed John List, the man who had been on the run for nearly 20 years. The long arm of the law finally caught up with List. The faceless man had a face now, and his life on the run had hit a dead end. He was arrested and extradited back to New Jersey, where he would face justice for the heinous crimes he'd committed all those years ago. The story of John List teaches us that no matter how far and how long one might run, the past has a way of catching up. It is a testament to the dedication of law enforcement and the power of public vigilance. In the end, it was the vigilance of the public that brought an end to List's life on the run. Standing before the court, List was no longer the elusive ghost, but a man facing the consequences of his actions. In the year 1990, the courtroom was filled with palpable tension as John List, the man who had evaded justice for nearly 2 decades, was finally brought to trial for the murder of his family. His defense team argued that List was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and was mentally unfit at the time of the killings. They painted a picture of a man under immense pressure, both financially and personally, who saw no other way out but to commit this horrifying act. However, the prosecution was relentless. They pointed out the meticulous planning that went into the murders, the careful staging of the crime scene, and List's calculated disappearance. They argued that these were not the actions of a man in the throes of a mental breakdown, but rather a man coldly and methodically eliminating his family. Legal experts closely watched the trial. One such expert, Professor Lawrence Rothman, commented on the case. Despite his claims of mental illness, Rothman said, the evidence of premeditation was overwhelming. List had not just snapped, he had planned this, and that's what ultimately led to his conviction. And indeed, after a grueling trial, the jury found John List guilty of 5 counts of first-degree murder. The judge showed no mercy in his sentencing, giving List 5 consecutive life terms in prison. A collective sigh of relief washed over the courtroom as the verdict was delivered. Justice at last had been served. Despite his claims of mental illness, society found List guilty, sentencing him to a lifetime behind bars. It was a chilling end to a shocking tale of family, faith, and horrific violence. The trial of John List serves not just as a chapter in crime history, but as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of ordinary lives. The chilling tale of John List is more than just a crime story. It's a haunting reminder of the human capacity for darkness. The meticulously planned murders of 5 innocent lives shook the nation and left a lasting impression on the quiet town of Westfield, New Jersey. In the aftermath of the heinous act, the community was left grappling with questions that had no satisfactory answers. How could a seemingly ordinary man, a church-going accountant and a former army officer, commit such a monstrous act? How could he vanish without a trace, leaving behind a life he had built over the years? The 18-year manhunt for List and his subsequent capture and trial further emphasized the terrifying reality of his crime. But it also shed light on the complexities of the human psyche. List's defense argued he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, an assertion that, while it didn't absolve him of his crimes, painted a picture of a man battling his own demons. However, the conviction of John List wasn't just about bringing a killer to justice. It was a testament to the perseverance of investigators and the collective effort of a society unwilling to let a heinous crime go unpunished. It was a stark reminder that even in the face of unspeakable horror, justice could prevail. Yet the story of John List also serves as a chilling reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked anger and resentment. It underscores the importance of mental health awareness and the necessity for accessible and effective mental health services. It's a tragic example of how, without proper intervention, inner turmoil can escalate into destructive actions. In the end, the legacy of John List is a stark reminder that even the quietest towns can harbour the darkest secrets. His story forces us to confront the unsettling truth that monsters can exist in the most ordinary places, hidden behind the facade of normalcy, waiting to unleash their terrifying darkness on an unsuspecting world.